guys, welcome to Wisdom of the Grandmaster. Today I'm not with Master Phil. I'm doing this one solo, and it was spurred on by an email that I got today from a gentleman who very kindly sent me a video that he had come across with regards to some of the things going on in Canada, especially when it concerns the educational system, and a flag that is not Canadian. That's all I'll say about that. You can read between the lines on that. I'm going to make YouTube's algorithm as happy as I can over this. Because the reason I'm going to do that is sometimes when you want to make a point, concessions must be made to make the point. Otherwise, you just won't be heard. And I mean, it was very good news. I enjoyed the video immensely. And I wrote him back and thanked him for the video and explained my situation. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history. Right? Behind me, of course, you can see the Romanian flag. No, I'm not Romanian. One day. Well, they'll never be my bloodline. But one day. Very soon. Back when I was a kid, teenager, my dad and I were watching the Canada-USSR hockey tournament where the NHL players played against the amateurs from the Soviet Union in a series that nobody ever expected that Canada would win. And it was a great moment of national pride when Canada beat the USSR. Because really, they were a bunch of prima donnas. They had no business against a team like that. But these guys had heart. Tremendous heart. And there will always be a warm place in my heart for that series because it was something to behold, to be part of as a kid. And I loved hockey when I was a kid. Played a lot of hockey. I spent about 18 years playing hockey before it became what it is today, which is nothing like it used to be. Yeah, I know people go, you're an old guy saying that. Well, there's a lot of truth to what us old guys say, right? But I remember being outside, and I was talking to Dad, and I made a comment. I said, well, it's got to be hard for... Because everybody wanted Vladimir Tretiak to defect. He was the goalie for the USSR, and he wasn't going to defect. Right? Just a dream that... Because he was the best goalie in the world. Bar none. Ken Dryden couldn't hold up a candle to him. Neither could Tony Esposito, who was actually ended up replacing Dryden in the nets. Because Dryden did not do well in that series. But I said to my dad, I said, he'd probably be very happy to be in a country that was free. And my dad looked at me and says, Canada's not a free country, it's a police state. I went, what are you talking about? He says, if you want to be in a free country, go to the United States. So this is not a free country. Now realize this is 1973. Right? So we talked about it. Talked about it a lot. Now my dad served in the war. And it was because of the construction of the laws and things like that he was telling the truth. It wasn't a free country. Especially with the power that had been given to the RCMP. Right? So the years went by, and I began to see the things he was talking about by the constant overreach of the various governments, whether they be municipal or federal. Provincial, it didn't matter. Constant overreach. I started sounding the alarm about the problems in the 90s, and I met great opposition. Great opposition. Unbelievable. I didn't think I would. I figured people would hear me, at least hear what I had to say. I'm not politically motivated at all. Right? I don't belong to a political party. I vote. I haven't voted in a very long time because I can't vote here yet. I vote my conscience. Right? I look for the best candidate and what they have to say, vote my conscience, and hope they're not a lying sack of shit like most of them are. Right? But I sat and I watched. I watched absolute atrocities that City Council in Windsor committed against the people of Windsor. The school boards against the children. And the fact that basically the whole thing was an old boys club. Whether you were a man or a woman, you were in the old boys club. And as we got into the 2000s, it started to make me think of that comedian whose name is escaping me right now. He was in the movie with Keanu Reeves, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, very famous comedian. I always have trouble with his name. I don't know why. I don't usually have troubles with names. But he talked about, it's a club and you ain't in it. George Carlin. And then after one really good final attack I had trying to talk to people about what I thought of the Harper government and his constant push for tolerance. Because I tolerate nothing in my life. Because tolerance means somebody wins and somebody loses. We can agree to disagree and find common ground and move on to get there together. But tolerance is where I lose and you win. That's not acceptable to me in any terms. That's not how you conduct business. It's not how anything should be conducted. And I finally got to the point where I'm not going to bother with it anymore. Okay? There's nothing I can do. I've tried long enough. I had massive arguments with my union rep once over socialism because he had told me that Venezuela was a paradise because he was there and Chavez treated the union really well. Yeah, I was in Venezuela too. I saw the truth. Right? It was a war zone. It's very sad because Venezuelan people are wonderful people. I just hope that things have improved there. I really don't know. Because I don't pay that much attention to world events because what the media tells you is a lie anyway, so why listen? I'm not going to go and listen to somebody lie to me. There's so much lying that goes on in the world today. I just don't listen. But I had made a trip to Romania in 2010, and I absolutely fell in love with the country. So, and of course there's a woman, but that's beside the point. She did not want to come to Canada. So I started to make plans that one day I would leave the country of my birth and go for refuge in East Europe, of all places. Right? Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought in the 1970s that East Europe would be what it is today? Amazing. But then, of course, many people would say they can't believe that the West became what it is today. I can believe it, because you guys all missed the signs. They were right there. But you see, you get lulled into this comfort zone. And if you're comfortable, there's something wrong. You should never be comfortable. You can be content, but not comfortable. Moved to Romania before Trudeau took office. I don't even like saying the name. No, I'm not going to bother to mock him. I don't need to mock him. I don't need to say anything bad about him because all you have to do is wait for him to open his mouth. What's that expression? Never interrupt an idiot because he will always tell you exactly who he is. Just let him talk and you find out what he is. There are some really good men who are there fighting for the country. My kudos to them. Some really epic people in that country. But a lot of the epic people in that country treated me pretty bad too. And it's not sour grapes or anger or anything like that. It just doesn't matter anymore. Right? And that's very, very freeing when you're not held back by your history because it doesn't matter anymore. Now, there's a day coming in the future that I will embrace with great joy. And that day is when I get a card. I've got a card now, but it doesn't say citizen on it yet. But it will. I will get a card that says citizen. And on that day, I will go to the Canadian Embassy in Bucharest, and I will renounce my Canadian citizenship, because I will never go back to the country. Right? I will not go back. I will claim refugee status before I would ever go back. And I could do that with the current conditions today. If you are living in Canada, you think about that. because I could. Because when you disagree with the opinions of a corrupt and evil narrative, they attack you rather than going, well, you know what? I remember when I was younger, man, I could have discussions with people and we could disagree completely. Go, hey, you know what? Let's just drop this whole thing and go get a drink. And we could go off and be friends. Not anymore. Jordan Peterson, by kudos to him, good man. I'm not going to call him a great man simply because I don't believe that means anything. He's a good man. I'd rather be a good man than a great man. But it's essentially my story. I wouldn't lift a finger for Canada. I would fight and die for this country, and I'm not even a citizen. Why is that? Because of the way I've been treated here. These people, it takes time, because when they look at you, they're a little bit suspicious of you. But I can't walk down the street without somebody saying hello or wanting to come and pet the dogs or at least smile and nod. If I have trouble with words, they try their very best to help me with the language. And I work very hard on the language, but I'm not there yet. I will be. Minus one or two people, because there's always one or two people. Nothing is ever perfect. But it reminds me very much of Canada when I was a little kid, like in the 60s, when the neighbors actually cared about each other. And they helped each other and they supported each other. And they didn't talk about bullshit, about special interest groups who are so naive to not realize that as soon as they're no longer useful to the powers that be, they'll be thrown under the bus with the rest of them. The human experience is fascinating. In conclusion of this, I'm just going to simply tell you that if you want a better world, don't buy the lies. The number one thing is you think locally and you act locally. They want you to think about the world and act for the world. If every person in this world thought about their family and thought about their community, can you imagine the paradise we live in? Think about that. The world does not get better through political system. It is insanity to think there's a political solution to a political problem. Don't ever trust your politicians, no matter how good you think they are, because the hearts of men corrupt very easily. And sometimes it's not even corruption, sometimes it's just fear. Before I conclude this, I once proposed something in a discussion I had when I worked at Chrysler long ago, that I said I could solve the problem with politicians very, very easily. So as an example, since many people watch this are from the United States, could you imagine if after 4 years of a president or a congressperson, there was a referendum? Did they do their job? If the answer was no, they went to prison for 4 years. If the answer was yes, they got a pension. Think you'd have a better system? Well, that's terrible. No, it's correct. Right? It's correct. They're managers, they're not leaders. And that's something else that people have to understand. Politicians are not leaders. The President of the United States is not a leader, he's a manager. The Prime Minister of Canada, I don't even know what that guy is. There needs to be a new paradigm of thinking. Are things going to get better? Yes, they are. They have to. Everything's in a cycle. And there's some very good times coming for the world, but we still got a ways to go yet to get through them. Thanks for watching, guys. I greatly appreciate that video that was sent to me, because while it will never directly affect me, it is nice to see people standing up, because I'm a martial arts teacher, and it's all about standing up. Yeah, there's too many people that virtue signal and lie their way through lives. We all lie, but every day I make an effort to tell the truth. And as Jordan Peterson put it, tell the truth. If you can't tell the truth, then at least don't lie. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye.